and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alphi LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
Greece is cheap.
But the airfare costs a fortune.
Paris?
Not much closer, and again, airfare...
What about Puerto Vallarta?
Let's face it, flying anywhere is just too expensive.
Wait, what's this? Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. Where would you like to go? London, Rome, Costa Rica, Australia?
Wow, that's cheap.
So why wait? Call now to learn how crazy cheap it is to fly anywhere in the U.S. or international. Our prices are so low, we can't publish them. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Police have arrested pro-Palestinian protesters on college campuses across the country overnight, notably at the University of California, Los Angeles.
Earlier today at UCLA, police used flashbangs and arrested more than 100 people. There have been arrests at Yale and Dartmouth. At Portland State University in Oregon, police evicted protesters from a library which had been defaced with graffiti. President Biden says the issue tests two important American principles.
The first is the right to free speech and for people to peacefully assemble and make their voices heard. The second is the rule of law.
Meanwhile, the board for the Pulitzer Prize released a statement commending student journalists who are working around the clock to cover the protests on their own college campuses. I'm Jennifer King.
Meanwhile, Hamas says it is considering the latest proposal for a ceasefire with Israel that the United States and other mediators hope will avert an Israeli attack on the Gaza town of Rafah. Also at townhall.com, the White House scrambling to explain why President Biden called Japan and India xenophobic countries. White House correspondent Greg Clugston with that report.
At a fundraiser this week, the president raised eyebrows when he described the two U.S. allies as xenophobic countries that do not welcome immigrants. He included Japan and India with adversaries China and Russia as he discussed the global economy and contrasted those four countries with the U.S. on immigration. Peppered with questions, White House officials tried to explain Mr. Biden's comments, saying America's allies know how the president values them and their friendship. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Peloton cutting about 400 jobs worldwide, and its CEO Barry McCarthy stepping down after 2 years as the company continues to work on turning around its business. Wall Street is higher, the Dow up 359 points. More at townhall.com.
Our government has engorged itself on borrowed money. Now we are over $30 trillion in debt. If this bubble finally implodes, many Americans will be left penniless and heartbroken. For example, what happens if state and federal pension funds go broke, or if 401ks and IRAs get cut in half due to hyperinflation? Hi, I'm Lance Wallnow, news analyst, best-selling author, and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. People who understand something big is coming. Now's the time to prepare with a physical gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. Precious metals are among the most proven hedges you can make. And they're even better inside a tax advantage account. To get a free info kit on gold IRAs, text the word FAITH, F-A-I-T-H, to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see why a gold IRA can help you. There are no strings attached, so just text FAITH to the number 989898 right now, and I pray.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. There's a chance for some rain and thunderstorms as we head into the evening and overnight hours, but I expect it to dry out by the Friday morning drive. 64 degrees for the overnight low. 78, not as warm for Friday afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. Saturday, there is a chance for some rain in the afternoon to early evening. It's not going to rain all day, but a period of some showers and thunderstorms are possible with a high of 83 Saturday, 77 with a chance of showers on Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Chris DeGaulle, host of the podcast Making the Leap.
Gone are the days of my mother who taught for 30 years in public school. Gone are the days of the altruism where they genuinely wanted to teach kids. It seems today it is a mission field for the American left to continue their march of Marxism and busting up the American family.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL. This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com. Tony Colombo.
Libertarianism is all about individual liberty.
Katie Fitzpatrick.
Oh, good for you.
Colombo and Katie on News Talk STL.
Time to rise, has been engaged. Your better best to rearrange. I'm talking here to me alone. I listen to the finest work song. Your finest
Hello and welcome to Thursday afternoon on Colombo and Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. I am Tony Colombo. My partner is Katie Fitzpatrick. That's why we called the show Colombo and Katie. Get it? It's clever. And we are thankful you are here with us on this beautiful, warm Thursday afternoon, a day that I have all day thought was Friday.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Ooh, that stinks. That stinks big time.
On Friday afternoons, we have Gabe Pfeiffer from Mike Ferguson in the morning show, join us, and Ken Williams, of course, from the Vic Porcelli show, join us. And when Ken said goodbye to me today, I was like, "Whoa, wait, aren't you?
Where are you going?
Are you not going to be on with us today?" And he was like, "Huh? Oh, it's Thursday." Yeah, so it's been one of those. It's been one of those for me, but it is definitely Thursday, and that means we are going to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler in just about an hour, just after 3 o'clock. And in just about 15 minutes, we are going to talk to Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member, Representative Justin Sparks. Very much looking forward to this conversation with Representative Sparks on the heels of our conversation with Rodney Boyd yesterday. When we spoke with Rodney yesterday, the filibuster that was being conducted by the Missouri Freedom Caucus in the Missouri Senate was ongoing. I think when we talked to Rodney, they were in about hour 30, 28, 30, somewhere in there. The filibuster ended up going I believe, record 41 hours and has come to a close.
Goodness.
So,
wow.
We are going to talk to Justin Sparks and find out what the results are.
Wow.
Did they get what they wanted? What was the impact? What are the results of the filibuster? And now there's only, I think, almost like exactly 2 weeks now left in the legislative session. So no time left to be, for this drama. It's time for action, and we'll see if that's actually happening.
41 hours?
41 hours is how long the filibuster lasted, and I think that's a record. I think the existing record was in the 30-something hours for the state of Missouri.
The Freedom Caucus is no joke. I think that they are. I think what troubles a lot of people at the Missouri Capitol is that there is a group of people that are ready to shake it up, and they are ready to hold down their fort as much as possible. And that is why it's awesome to have Rodney Boyd one day and then Justin Sparks the next.
I will say that Rodney, what could be, I don't know if this is a good sign or a bad sign, when I asked Rodney yesterday what his gut told him, and I trust Rodney Boyd's political instincts when it comes to Missouri politics more than I think anybody I've ever known. I asked him if when we talked to Justin today at about 2:20, if the filibuster would still be going, and he said he thought it still would be going. So the fact that it ended, I don't know. We'll find out if that's a good thing.
Did something get done or not?
Yeah, we'll find out if that's a good thing or a bad thing when we talk to Justin Sparks again in just about 10, 15 minutes from now. Let's start, though, with some national news. Back out to the protests. Another school finally had enough and sent in law enforcement, this time at UCLA. More than 130 anti-Israel protesters were arrested after police shut down the encampment on UCLA's campus earlier today. The California Highway Patrol said in a statement that multiple law enforcement agencies responded to a mutual aid request from the UCLA Police Department. Wearing face shields and protective vests, they stood with their batons protruding out to separate them from demonstrators who wore helmets and gas masks and chanted, "You want peace, we want justice." I'm getting a little sick of the chants. Some of the chants are getting a little too.
It's enough.
They're just like they're just trying to be too cute. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that chant. I'm not saying that chant in particular, but it just like every story I read has the quotes of the chants.
Every university has taken on new chants.
Right. Law enforcement removed barricades after hundreds of protesters defied orders to leave. Some people were detained, their hands bound with zip ties. Quote, in response to a mutual aid request from UCLA, the California Highway Patrol deployed to assist the UCLA Police Department. This is all in a statement from the State Highway Patrol. Goes on to say the Highway Patrol was one of several law enforcement agencies who responded to the campus request for assistance. The Highway Patrol assisted with arresting more than 130 protesters who will be processed by the UCLA Police Department. You know what's going to be really interesting? I mean, there's so many layers of all of these protests. But now that we're seeing, at least at some schools, like Columbia yesterday and UCLA today, where they've decided that enough's enough, they sent in the SWAT team, they arrested something, a similar number of people yesterday at or maybe I think it was actually more. I can't remember what the number we reported. I think maybe it was closer to 300 people at Columbia University. So, and now 130 today in UCLA, which is great. That this is what we've been calling for, to send in the SWAT team to break this up, because this is not far from a lawful protest anymore. What's going to happen to all these people that were arrested? Are they going to be processed and charged, really? Or are they just going to be let go?
Yeah, I think they're going to be let go.
If we just let them all go, then we've done nothing. We've done nothing. If we don't hold criminals to account, then there's no incentive, there's no reason for them to not just repeat the same crimes.
I think they will let them go. I really do, because I just look at how lax everything has gotten and how much I think law enforcement feel like their hands are tied with so many different situations. This to me seems like these students are going to have the picture taken out where law enforcement's escorting them, whatever guardians are escorting them off the campus, off the premises. The biggest thing, I I agree with you, Tony. I would like them to be arrested and have punishment given.
Yeah.
But I also equally believe that the university should get the list of the names of the people in these protests and say you are no longer welcome on campus anymore.
That should be part of it.
That
should be part of the punishment.
You can't, and then that's on their permanent record. And then when they try to go to another school, then the other school can decide. I'm not saying they shouldn't ever be able to be allowed to go to school ever again.
Not that school.
But not Columbia.
Right.
Not UCLA. You should see, I don't know if you've seen these yet or not, Tony, the encampment centers, what they left behind after being escorted off or when things were broken up, it looks like a trash heap.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like a landfill.
dump. Yeah.
A complete dump.
Mhm.
There is littering galore. There is stuff, miscellaneous stuff everywhere, personal items, other things, the megaphones left behind, boxes, the tents. And our good friend, Larry Behrens, who is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
He said, these are the same kids who will riot at City Hall to ban plastic straws. And here they are.
That's such a good point.
They left all of their garbage for the last 2 weeks was left there, or the week, whatever they were doing at UCLA at least.
Yeah.
Left.
Mm-hmm.
No one's picking. It's miles long. No one's there to pick anything up. No one's there to do any cleanup. No, nothing like that.
All the trash left over, the grounds destroyed. And then all the vandalism that caused destruction as well. All the buildings that were broken into, whatever else on campus, whether it be statues or flagpoles or whatever infrastructure damaged and vandalized. If you or I went to a building somewhere, let's even apples to apples, if you and I went to a college campus and we went to one of the main buildings on campus and we smashed the windows with hammers, we kicked down the doors, we went inside and we trashed the place, we would be arrested and we would be charged with multiple crimes.
Mm-hmm.
We would be charged with breaking and entering. We'd be charged with trespassing. We'd be charged with vandalism. We'd be charged with destruction of property. We'd be charged with a whole bunch of things because we committed all those crimes.
Yeah, it's a crime.
So these people that did all of those things, that trespassed, that resisted arrest, that broke into buildings, that destroyed property, they need to be charged with those crimes. And if they're not, what are we doing? What are we doing? We're sending the message that it's okay to break the law if you are in the right circumstance. If you're with the right group of people. I can't go do it. You can't go do it, but they can go do it.
And the problem with, I'm glad that the law enforcement did what they had to do. It should have been done weeks ago. But now these people are martyrs. Now they are the quote unquote sacrificial lambs, and they're getting arrested for the cause. It's just like that fake picture of AOC whenever she was pretending like she was handcuffed because and she wasn't.
Right.
She was just like pretending she wasn't.
Yep.
Like law enforcement was escorting her out. It's just like that.
Oh, jeez, I had forgotten about that. That
remember
is so.
it was the fake
I
setup?
do remember it.
But that's what this reminds me of. It's like the protesters.
Amazing.
It's all about the pictures. It's all about like, I was peaceful and now I'm getting taken off of campus. And you're right, they committed a crime. But I think that mentality will have to do with them not being arrested. I think that picture and that idea that was put out into the public that like peaceful protesters are being arrested right now, that will have a part to play in them actually not getting anything.
And that's why and that's why it needs to happen, because we've got to change that perception. We've got to send the message that it's not just going to be allowed.
Yeah.
It's not allowed to do that.
In real life, it's not allowed.
I cannot do that. You cannot do that. Nobody else can do that. We can't go somewhere and smash the windows of a building and break into it and kick the doors down and refuse to leave and threaten violence and destroy property and just be let go. Nobody else gets to do that.
Doesn't work that way.
So
Yeah.
none of these people should get to do that. They need to be charged.
What?
There's still people sitting in jail from January 6th, and I'm not trying to open that can of worms and compare the two, but protesters from January 6th are still in jail.
You know, it's crazy because
And these protesters, we'll see. This is what I'm predicting what you're predicting. that
Yeah.
They're not going to be charged, or very few of them will be. And that's just ridiculous. It's BS.
I do want to bring up what you just said, and I will make a comparison to the January 6th
Sure.
situation, because after January 6th happened and everybody made a huge hubbub, which rightfully so, that was a day that was like,
Yeah.
whoa.
Yeah. Not as big of a deal as what's been going on this week, though.
We had protesters.
In my opinion.
There were protesters, anti-Israel protesters in the Capitol protesting during hearings and all of that stuff 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, they weren't breaking in, but ever since January 6th, which was the day that lives in infamy for so many Democrats that they can never forget about, there are so many protests now inside the Capitol building, inside where the senators and the congressmen and women. There have been so many protests happening inside that building where people have had to be escorted out of the building because they weren't welcome in there to disrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Where is the hubbub around that? I just saw it 2 days ago where the protesters were literally parading around, yelling, holding up their peace signs, screaming in our capital, in our nation's capital, and nobody said a peep.
Yeah. And
no one was arrested.
And remember why it was so important to arrest the people that entered the Capitol on January 6th? Because we heard from all these Congress people that they felt threatened. They felt like their lives were in danger. They felt like this was an angry mob that was coming for them. And that's
Had to
why
hide underneath their desks.
And that's why these people needed to be arrested and charged and put in jail. Well, now imagine that went on for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And also, how do you think all the Jewish students and faculty and other faculty members or university employees that were working in those buildings, how do you think they felt as these people are kicking in the doors and smashing the windows and chanting, Hamas, we love you, we love your missiles too? And they're threatening violence against Jewish students. Do you think those people felt like their lives were in danger? Seems like a pretty apples to apples comparison to me.
Totally. And
Except for the fact that January 6th was one day with one group of people that was shut down pretty quickly. These have been going on for weeks in many places with thousands more people involved. It's much bigger than January 6th. In my opinion. Before we talk to Justin, one quick funny side note. Did you see the video of the guy in Portland that tried to knock over the police officer?
No.
This is one.
I didn't see.
This was pretty funny. So, Portland State University has the protests going, and here come these protests. I don't know what they're doing. They're running down a sidewalk on this campus, and the two guys in front of the group have rubber trash cans that have been cut in half. Like think about your rubber trash can, like the standard garage rubber trash can, cut in half so you can hold it like a shield, but it's rubber.
Oh my gosh. And just even that, it's like, oh, I made this.
Yeah, Captain America.
Yeah, I did it.
And these two guys are leading the charge of these protesters, and they're running. They got masks on, and they got their rubber trash can shields, and they're running towards this group of police officers. And the group, turns to avoid the police officers and continue to run like a different direction.
I hate
But
this.
one guy decides he's going to be a hero and runs straight at this cop. This cop who's standing still and has nothing. No shield, no weapon, no nothing. This guy's at a full sprint with his
Decked out.
rubber trash can, and he runs at this cop, and it's like he hit a brick wall.
That's
he
amazing.
goes straight down. Like, he just hits the cop and hits the ground, and then they get swarmed and arrested. Like, there you go. Way to go, buddy. He just thought he was going to mow through this cop. This freaking nerd, like, just thinks he's going to run through this cop and be this hero, and he looked like he ran into a brick wall.
It's like, do you know
It
how
was the first time I smiled when watching
Do you
one
know
of these.
how you look? We cut a
Yeah.
trash can in half.
Yeah.
We did it.
And he runs at this
There's a
cop and just
shield.
goes down. This is his moment, and
This
he's
is-
on the ground getting swarmed and getting
Oh.
arrested. All right, there's more to talk about regarding these protests and some other national news that we will get into as we go through the rest of the afternoon. But right now, it is time to shift gears and talk local politics and get the latest from Jeff City in the Missouri legislative session, specifically the Missouri Freedom Caucus filibuster that just ended, lasted 41 hours. We're going to check in with Freedom Caucus member Representative Justin Sparks next on Colombo and Katie.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
I could go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script. I'm going to get in trouble.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
1019 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tom Salute, I just love the making fun of Biden thing.
It's kind of like, no, look, the orange man bad, and I'll tell you what we're going to do about it. I want to address the LGBT, hold on, I got a rhyme to help this out. LGBTQA+. We used to call them gays, but then they made a fuss. Okay, yeah.
Got it. Vic Porcelli.
Live and local, weekday mornings at 9.
On News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
The Jefferson City Report, brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Thursday afternoon means it is time to check in with Missouri State Representative and Missouri Freedom Caucus member, Representative Justin Sparks. Justin, thanks for your time this afternoon. It's been a dramatic legislative session, and this week took it to an even a new level. So really appreciate your time and checking in and filling us in on everything this afternoon.
Yep.
So I mentioned it earlier, and we talked about it yesterday when we were talking to Rodney Boyd, as we do every Wednesday afternoon, and the filibuster was happening there in the Senate. Your group, the Missouri Freedom Caucus, was carrying out this filibuster that ended up lasting 41 hours, which I believe is a record in the state of Missouri. This all goes back to IP reform, something that we've been talking about since before this session even started. So could you fill us in on what the last 2 days was all about and the results, at least to this point, after the filibuster?
Well, we've had this conversation repeatedly about the number one priority in the Republican Party and the Republican platform, which is initiative petition reform, and how amazing it was for us to be bringing it up, debating it in the House, and getting it over the Senate, where we are one vote away, Tony, Katie, one vote. 7 years of Republican majority rule, supermajority rule. We are one vote away. And when I say the special interests and the entrenched bureaucracy is screaming, they are howling. They are pulling out everything, pulling out all the stops, every angle to stop this from happening. And that's why you get a record-shattering filibuster. Exactly why.
Can you? I've never had a clear understanding of the other side, of the opposition to this, because you can still make law, you can still pass law, you can still push whatever agenda you have through and make it law in Missouri. You just, it just is, there's just a higher threshold to change the Constitution, which is duh. I mean, it's the Constitution. You don't see the United States Constitution with hundreds of amendments, but you see laws passed, every year. Why? What is the reason for such staunch opposition to this?
So it's a perfect storm. Sometimes you have bills that have no opposition, and sometimes you have bills that have oppositions from all sides. This is one of those, and I'll tell you why. Because there's an entire industry that has grown up around initiative petition reform and fighting to repeal it, reform it, and touch it. What I mean by that is this. So on the left, the extreme left, you have like the Arnold Foundation that loves to come into states and subvert Republican majorities and pour tons of money into getting garbage, horrible, a list of deplorable policies passed. Abortion is one of them. Transgender is another one. Ranked choice voting is another one, right? So that's on one side. That's the leftist, because sees this as the only way to get around the Republican legislature and get around the will of the people. Okay, so that's one side. The other side makes money off of, for example, the Realtor Association has had things that have been passed, right? They have for those that don't know, the Realtor Association has a lot and is involved with a lot that has nothing to do. Okay, selling property.
Yeah, right.
So they're a very powerful political organization, and they have put initiative petitions on the ballot, and they've been able to get some of their priorities passed that way that they weren't able to do in the legislature. And then there's bipartisan stuff. Republicans and Democrats feel either positive or negative about marijuana, but that's also how you get irresponsible ones like recreational marijuana. We're not even talking about the merit of recreational marijuana, whether you believe that that's good or bad or how it should be regulated. And I'm not talking about that. I'm not even taking a position on that. I'm talking about when you have pages and pages and pages of language, legal language, added to the Constitution. It's irresponsible, and it's extremely hard to navigate because of the way that it was added. The Constitution was never designed to be what it has become, which is statutory law.
Yeah.
That's the job of the legislature. And then you have an entire organization and industry around fighting initiative petitions, right? So you literally, this is really does come down to money, jobs, an entire industry that people don't want to see it go away.
You cut out just a little bit there at the end there, Justin. I don't know if you're in a spot that's got a good or a bad connection, but just something to keep an eye on. But we got the vast majority of that comment, and thank you for explaining it, because it's just been one of these things that as we've talked about in the past, I've never heard anybody publicly in an interview that I've done or I've listened to that endorses the way that things are done right now with constitutional amendments and have been calling for IP reform. You said that there's one vote left. You're in the House, and the House is done. Your piece is done, correct? It is just up to the Senate to get this one more vote, and that would finally push this thing across the finish line. And many of those one votes are Republicans. What are those Republicans that are not voting for this? What are they specifically saying? What is their excuse? What is their reason to the voters of the state of Missouri for not joining the rest of the party in what seems to be a very obvious and conservative popular movement?
They really don't have a good excuse. That's
great.
Really what it comes down to. They really don't, because what they don't want to tell you is the truth. The truth is those very powerful special interests are supporting them in their campaigns, okay? And they're supporting their campaigns for higher office and their war chests for future office. And that's really the truth, because this is not a moral vote, guys, okay? Initiative, well, in some cases, it is a moral vote. It has become a moral vote because now it's how we are now keeping things that could possibly manipulate our Constitution and completely reverse things that the Missouri voters really want. But when you're talking about the way we change our Constitution, there's no reason for Republicans not to support this. It's the number one priority. The number one Republican priority, and it's being opposed by Republicans. We have to take a hard look at ourselves and say, why?
Yeah. So 41-hour filibuster. If that one vote was not convinced or not achieved, what was the reason for ending the filibuster without getting that resolution?
Yeah, great question. And the short answer is there is a way forward.
You know what? That was the most dramatic phone cutout ever. You said that's a great question, and the answer is, and then it cut out for a second. So please, it's like a movie. You got.
I can't repeat it.
I'm sorry. So please, yes. So say that one more time. I apologize.
Yeah, absolutely, and I apologize. I am in the hills of Missouri. That's why I don't have a good service. It's been an insane day, as you can imagine. And the short answer is, without being too coy, without cell phone interruption, there is a way forward. I think both sides see that for the betterment of Missouri, the bigger picture, there is a way forward. And all I can say is stay tuned.
Yeah, I know you've been optimistic since day one. You've been optimistic since the beginning of this session that this would ultimately get done and get across the finish line. Do you still feel that way right now with just 2 weeks to go?
100%.
Oh, that's great. I love to hear that. So we will stay tuned, and we will obviously continue to monitor that situation. But again, there's only 2 weeks left. What else needs to be addressed? What else is on the priority list before the clock runs out on this session?
Well, there's a little thing called the budget.
Yeah. There's that.
Tiny little thing, right?
Yes, a tiny little thing called a $56 billion budget, which I'm happy to say that real strides are being made to rein in the budget and move our state forward in a fiscally responsible fashion. Something that I know this sounds critical of my previous legislature before I got here, but guys, record budgets for years under Republican leadership. How shameful that our Republican leadership couldn't foresee a day and an hour in which we're about to enter into in our country, in which things might have to be a little fiscally tighter and uncomfortable. So maybe we should prepare beforehand. And politicians are really bad at that because everybody wants to do things for their district and their constituents, and I understand that completely. But we have to do so knowing that the overall health of our state and our constituents depends on us being fiscally responsible. So we are on a path to a balanced, healthy budget in which we will shrink it instead of grow it.
talking to Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks. And Justin, I know that this getting done this year is not something that's probably realistic, but a story that really caught my eye, surprised me. I didn't know this was even something that was being discussed. A story that I read earlier this week and I held on to because I wanted to talk to you specifically about it, was a proposal that was voted on in the House this week that would change the term limits in the state of Missouri. Something you and I have talked to, and I've talked with many people involved in Missouri politics a lot about, the very restrictive term limits. To see that there was a vote in the House that was pretty overwhelming to relax the term limits in Missouri. Is that something that has some steam and some momentum that we could see some action on, if not this year, maybe soon?
If not this year, I'm hoping next year, because this is why this is so important. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
This law will not apply to any current legislators. So it's not like we're voting to keep ourselves in power or anything like that. That's how strong we all feel about this, on both sides too, by the way, because both sides realize that the unelected bureaucracy in Missouri has become so powerful that they manipulate the entire process, and that isn't good for Missouri voters. When I went up there, I thought term limits were definitely the way to go. I supported them. I thought they were great. And then I got there and I realized we are at such a disadvantage and we need to do something about it. So it doesn't change the amount of time that you spend in office. It just allows you to spend more time in either house. So you can spend all of your time in the House or all of your time in the Senate, or you can split it up among 8 years in each.
Okay, that was my main question, was that because for people that don't know, there's term limits are right now in Missouri. You can only serve for 16 years, but you can also only serve 8 years in either house. So it's 8 years in the House, 8 years in the Senate, and that's your 16. But if you can't, you can't serve past 8 years in either house. So this doesn't remove the 16-year term limit. It just removes that 8-year requirement for either house.
Either body.
Is that correct?
Wow. You got it.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. And institutional knowledge, right? So you're talking about a $56 billion, $52 billion budget, and you're coming in and you have no idea, and you're only there, for a total of 8 years. When you're trying to, you know how it is, becoming an expert on $1 billion budget is not a simple thing. So what ends up happening is the budget chair and his staff tends to really rely heavily on unelected bureaucrats, right? And think about how they can manipulate the process, and they do. And so this has been a festering problem, apparently, for a long time, and it's finally come to a head this year.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of term limits in almost any regard, and certainly the stringent ones that we have here in Missouri. So this is definitely a huge step and could go a long way in evening the balance of power in Jeff City. So it's going to be something very interesting to watch. But I would imagine that this and any other issue outside of IP reform in the budget there's going to be no time left this year to address any of those things. Are those the only two issues that you envision, the budget and IP reform, the only two issues that have a realistic chance of being addressed by the end of the session?
Well, I mean, you're right. There is a limited amount of time left, but I will tell you this. Last year taught me that stranger things have happened, and all of a sudden, just really strange things happened in the last year. Don't count anything out yet, and I will say I think we've got some surprises up our sleeves, and hopefully they're good ones.
I love it. I love to hear that stuff. It'll be, man, you think things are crazy now. When we have this conversation 1 week from now,
next week,
we are going to be, talk about the home stretch. We're going to be right there at the finish line at that point. So very much looking forward to that conversation. Justin Sparks, always appreciate the information and insight that you provide. And in the meantime, before we talk again, remind folks if they want to keep an eye on everything that you are working on and everything happening there in Jeff City, what's the best way to do so?
Oh, absolutely. You know what? On May 9th, they can come see me, town hall event.
Oh, yes.
At the Marianist Retreat off of 109, Missouri State Road 109, and they can come out and see and talk to myself and Will Scharf, who will be talking about local, state, and federal politics law and order, crime, and public safety. So come out and see us at 6 p.m. on May 9th.
Yeah,
Go to sparksformissouri.com.
Yeah, 1 week from today, sparksformissouri.com to get more information on that and everything else that Justin is working on. And as always, Representative Sparks, really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you again soon.
See you soon, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, man, that is just nuts. That this IP reform has been going on. We've been having this conversation for years, and for years, I have not understood why
it can't get done.
It can't get done because everybody agrees. Every person that I've ever talked to or ever even heard discuss the issue agrees that there needs to be reform. And now here we are, 2 weeks to go in another legislative session, coming off the heels of a 41-hour filibuster, and the Republican supermajority in Jeff City still can't get just one more vote.
I feel like
to push it across the finish line.
I feel like what Justin just said outlined it so perfectly for me, though, just to be like, there are Republicans that are actually totally not going to do what they set out to do.
It's obvious. It's
lobbyists,
clear.
All these things have influence.
Yes, crystal clear.
That was a great outline.
Yes, having a supermajority
and getting nothing done.
And not being able to get something like this across the finish line, especially when you're down to just one vote. I don't know how these politicians justify that with their constituents and their voters because, so we'll see. Sounds like Justin is very confident that in the end, this will get done. And I hope he's right, and we'll continue to keep an eye on it and let you know every step of the way. All right, talking about the protests happening around the country, there are a couple of lawmakers that are wanting to make new law and make punishment for the people that participate in these type of protests and the universities that allow them to happen. A couple of new proposed bills this week that I will fill you in on, and possibly the worst situation that Joe Biden could ever imagine happened today. And it's amazing. So we'll talk about all of that and more next on Colombo and Katie.
Stream Colombo and Katie at newstalkstl.com.
We're going to win and we're going to help. We have plans to build a railroad from the Pacific all the way across the Indian Ocean. We have plans to build in Angola one of the largest solar plants in the world. I can go on, but I'm not. I'm going off script and I'm going to get in trouble.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Have the left-wing lunatics lit anything else on fire on college campuses? We'll talk to Steve Bucci at 4:25 about all that. At 5:25, Chris DeGaulle of the Herzog Foundation.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 4
on News Talk STL.
So you guys have heard me tell the story about when we bought our new house, we inherited a gutter issue, and thank goodness for the gutter pros because they came in and took care of that issue, and it was so much faster and easier and more affordable to resolve than I had built it up to be in my mind, and the gutter pros were just absolutely excellent. It was my first personal experience working with the gutter pros, and they were absolutely the best. And in the time that I have had that experience with the gutter pros and have learned more about gutters and the impact and the possible damage that can be done to your house long term if there are issues up there that aren't resolved, I have understand more than ever the importance of not letting something on your gutter, which may not be a normal priority for you, not getting that addressed and the long-term damage that can be done to your home. The Gutter Pros are your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. They really are the best team to work with. when it comes to anything happening up there. Leaf protection, gutter repair, new gutter installation, siding, fascia, soffit, all of it. The Gutter Pros are the team to call. If you have a small problem, don't let it get worse. If you have a problem that's been festering for a while, get it taken care of. And even if you think that there's a possible problem up there, take advantage of their free estimates. Have Gutter Pros come out. They'll take a look. They'll let you know what's going on up there. And then at least you have that peace of mind and that understanding, and you can move forward, make the best decision for your home and for your budget at that point. And it's absolutely cost you nothing up to that point. So if you think there's a problem with the gutters, or you know there's a problem with the gutters at your home or business, call the Gutter Pros now. Call them at 314-656-7195. Or just go to gutterpros.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they were very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No pain, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Colombo and Katie brought to you by Gutter Pros. Water goes where we tell it. Call 314-656-7195 or visit them at gutterpros.com.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Great information in that last segment from Missouri State Representative Justin Sparks about the filibuster and the future of the Missouri legislative session these last 2 weeks and whether or not IP reform is going to get across the finish line. If you missed that conversation, make sure you are subscribed to our podcast because we put this show out as a podcast on every podcast platform right after we get off the air every day, and it is the best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on Colombo and Katie. All right, a couple of new bills are being proposed to stop the chances of these protests that we've seen on college campuses across the country happening in the future. One being filed or being soon to be introduced by Representative August Pfluger in Texas, legislation that would withhold federal financial aid from student protesters convicted of rioting or attacking police in the latest wave of anti-Israel unrest. So, students that either receive or are applying to receive financial aid, if they've been convicted of rioting or attacking police, they don't get taxpayer money. I think I'm A-okay with that.
I'm fine.
I think I'm A-okay with that. Quote from Representative Pfluger, as a nation founded on principles of justice and respect for the rule of law, We must take a firm stance against violence and lawlessness, especially when directed at those who risk their lives to uphold order and protect our communities. My new legislation aims to send a clear message. If you assault a police officer or engage in rioting, you forfeit your right to federal financial aid.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like, again, something that should be common sense, but we're living in a world where people have to make laws, bills, clarification now.
If you are a convicted felon, you cannot own a gun.
Yeah.
It's part of the rules that you have rights in this country, but you can lose those rights through your actions. And not getting our money to go to school after rioting or attacking police officers, that sounds about right to me.
Yeah, completely fine.
So that one's targeted at students, and another new bill would stop taxpayer funding of schools with DEI programs. So this is targeted at schools. Senator Mike Lee of Utah is taking on university subsidies from the federal government as diversity, equity, and inclusion programs expand and schools lose control over anti-Semitic protests and riots across the country. He introduced the No Subsidies for Wealthy Universities Act in the Senate today, with Freedom Caucus member Representative Ben Cline introducing a companion bill in the House of Representatives. Lee released a statement saying, quote, "The tax dollars of hardworking American families are going to ultra-wealthy universities like Columbia and Harvard, supporting woke DEI programs while churning out graduates who despise our country and riot for the destruction of Israel. This bill would address the issue of subsidies and grants being used to bolster DEI and facilitate them by scrutinizing what we are referred to as indirect cost reimbursements." So basically, if these multi-million-dollar schools have these DEI programs, they will no longer receive federal funding, aka taxpayer money.
Yeah, I think that this is where we're getting into the realm of why, if the public has such a strong disagreement with something like DEI, which we have seen happen, why is it that our money has to go to something like this?
Why does it have to go to it anyway? Because so this bill will stop any federal subsidies going to universities that have endowments greater than $5 billion.
Goodness.
And any school that's between $2 billion and $5 billion will have limited. Well, they'll be limited in those subsidies. Why do they need our taxpayer money?
What?
Forget DI or anything.
What?
If you have a $5 billion endowment, why do you need our taxpayer money anyway?
It's just like coming to the realization of the numbers you read off last week when we were talking about 50 billion or whatever the case may be for these Ivy League schools that are getting government money, which is our money, but they're getting money from the government. And it's like, that is a number. We talked to Ken about this. We talked to Gabe about this. That is something I had no idea was happening. I had no clue that places like Columbia and Harvard and these Ivy League schools are getting an astronomical amount of money from the federal government.
Private universities.
Yes.
You know state colleges are getting
yes
state money and federal money because it's in the
states,
name.
Yeah.
But private universities that are getting all of this money.
On top of the tuition that these people are paying, it's just like we're really, I think, turning a corner right now with examining colleges.
Yeah, yeah. And
in
I
a
think
big way.
I think parents are examining colleges in a big way, and whether it's even worth sending. I'll tell you what, a trade school.
Go on, get a job immediately at a trade school.
High paying,
good money,
well needed jobs.
Work with your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh.
That is way more attractive than some overpriced university, in my opinion. All right, we are going to talk to Dr. Randy Tobler, and as I mentioned a moment ago, I am going to outline a scenario that played out today that I think is a worst case scenario for President Joe Biden. It was amazing. and we will talk about it with Dr. Randy Tobler next.
That's me in the corner. That's me in the spot.
Southern Armory, your hometown gun store. Come and be more than just a customer. Southern Armory, we carry the best guns, holsters, knives, magazines, ammunition, and even food storage. Special orders are welcome. Southern Armory, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, 9901 Watson Road, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
Whether you're purchasing your first firearm or adding to your collection at Southern Armory, you're more than a customer, you're part of the family. Follow Southern Armory on Facebook or at southernarmory.com.
Classic Kicks Country is streaming now. Hear all your new country favorites from the 90s.
I should have been a cowboy.
Streaming as it happened in the 90s. Classic Kicks.
Let's go, girls.
Download the Classic Kicks app from the App Store. Online at ClassicKicks.com.
I'll go back.
Or enable the Classic Kicks skill on Alexa.
I love this station.
90s New Country streaming now.
Folks tell me they just aren't happy with their health care these days. You too? Hi, Dr. Randy Tobler here for Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Trust and relationships, they're essential to great care, and those values define our practice. No bright, shiny objects or the latest fads here, just caring for you with 30 years of experience and making it about you, not the bill. Interested? Schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com, shepherding you to medical freedom.
Hello, fans of the paranormal. I'm Frankie, host of the newest show on News Talk STL on a Garage, and we'll be discussing everything paranormal, from ghosts, demons, hauntings, and aliens to Skinwalker, Bigfoot, fairies, and the Chupacabra. Every Saturday night between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., me and Jeremy will discuss mysterious events in St. Louis and surrounding areas, including gateway families and unsolved true crimes. That's right, it's all right here exclusively on News Talk STL from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. every Saturday night.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. President Biden calling for order on college campuses that have been disrupted by Hamas war protesters. White House correspondent Greg Cluxton reports.
Ending days of silence, the president defended the right to protest and condemned anti-Semitic speech. He also spoke out against violent activity, saying destruction of property is not a peaceful protest.
Vandalism, trespassing, breaking windows, shutting down campuses, forcing the cancellation of classes and graduations. None of this is a peaceful protest.
Mr. Biden was under growing political pressure and increased criticism for his silence on the escalating demonstrations. Greg Clugston, the White House.
Also at townhall.com, a Maryland transportation official says the state plans to rebuild the Francis Scott Key Bridge in just over 4 years at an estimated cost of between $1.7 and $1.9 billion. As salvage efforts continue, authorities also announcing late Wednesday they had recovered the body of a fifth person who died in that March 26 collapse. On the economic front, correspondent Alex Vega reports on mortgage rates in the U.S.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on a 30-year mortgage rose this week to about 7.2%. The average rate is now the highest it's been since late November. Higher rates can add hundreds of dollars a month in costs on a home loan. That limits how much home shoppers can afford. Mortgage rates have now risen 5 weeks in a row. That's an unwelcome trend for home buyers in what's typically the housing market's busiest time of the year. I'm Alex Vega.
Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Call says police shot and killed a student outside a middle school after receiving a report of someone with a gun. The active shooter never got inside the building. It happened Wednesday at Mount Horeb Middle School. The Dow had 323 points, the NASDAQ adding 235. More at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Are you looking for a meaningful way to preserve our nation's history? Consider purchasing a Blueprints of Liberty brick. Each purchase Bridges helps to build Liberty Village. By sponsoring a brick, you become a part of the blueprints of Liberty Village, a unique destination that brings our founding history to life. This family-friendly location will provide an opportunity for youth and visitors to encounter history like never before. Visit UnitedWePledge.org to order your blueprint.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. There's a chance for some rain and thunderstorms as we head into the evening and overnight hours, but I expect it to dry out by the Friday morning drive. 64 degrees for the overnight low. 78, not as warm for Friday afternoon, mostly cloudy skies. Saturday, there is a chance for some rain in the afternoon to early evening. It's not going to rain all day, but a period of some showers and thunderstorms are possible with a high of 83 Saturday, 77 with a chance of showers on Sunday. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Fox News commentary.
Governor DeSantis announces Freedom Month in Florida. If you're wondering why Americans keep voting with their feet, here's another reason. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
The elites want more control through digital currencies in a cashless society. This is Stephen K. Bannon, and I believe gold is the answer to safeguard your wealth, especially if you own your gold inside of a gold IRA from Birch Gold Group. To learn more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting SHELTER to 989898. Birch Gold is the only gold company I trust, so text SHELTER to the number 989898 to claim your free info kit today.
Message and data rates may apply.
According to a declaration made this week by Florida Governor DeSantis, the month of July will now be Freedom Month. Starting July 1st in Florida, things like fishing, camping, pool, and other outdoor supplies like sunscreen, bug spray, and charcoal for grilling will be tax-free. Boating and water activities will also fall under this Freedom Sales Tax Holiday Initiative. Governor DeSantis said he wants people to go out and enjoy the summer season, and with this tax relief, more will be able to do just that. While blue states tax their residents up to their eyeballs and bury good people under red tape and regulations, states like Florida are doing the opposite. Is it really a wonder people are flocking to free states? You can be taxed to death to live in filth, crime, and squalor, or you can move to a state with law, order, liberty, and decency. I can't imagine an easier decision in the history of decisions. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows.
Mike Ferguson in the morning, The Vic Porcelli Show, Colombo and Katie, Jones and Arps.
Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble.
Subscribe and watch
News Talk STL.
Could you whisper in my ear the things you wanna feel? I'll give you anything to feel it coming. Do you wake up on your own? I wonder where you are and live with all your faults. I wanna wake up where you are. I won't say anything at all. So why don't you smile? Yeah, we're gonna let it slide.
Welcome back to Colombo and Katie on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. It is Thursday afternoon. It is just after 3 o'clock, which means it is time to check in with Dr. Randy Tobler, who you can hear every Saturday morning at 6 a.m. here on News Talk STL. Doc, how are you, my friend?
Doing well, man. I'm glad to see that they're clearing out all these campuses one by one, man.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So
Love it.
I have a story that I can't wait to share with you and everyone else and get everybody's reaction to it, because I think it's amazing. It's Joe Biden has hit a new low, but we'll get to that in a second. First, since we haven't had a chance to talk in a couple weeks, actually, just wanted to get your thoughts. This is something we were screaming about earlier this week about the SWAT teams and how it would take, that we could put an end to these protests if these schools could, if they wanted to. And then we have finally, in these last couple days, seen some action to remove these protesters from these campuses. What are your thoughts on the whole thing as it stands right now?
Yeah. Well, my first thought is that it's probably very smart that these kids and punks and the agitators that are not students are wearing masks, because if I was an employer and I had any way with facial recognition software to identify them, they would never, ever, ever, ever get a job with me. And I think probably many business people feel that way. Secondly, shame on the administrators of these colleges that let this go way too far. I mean, these police officers were put in danger. They were threatened. Some of them were, at least in some manner, roughed up with these intrusions, and it just didn't have to be that way. I mean, I think I look at what happened at WashU, where they really didn't let them get away with too much, right? They clamped it down pretty quick, and I have to hand it to them. I think they did a good job. In Columbia at Mizzou, did a great job. We really haven't seen much. There was just a protest the other day. They walked from one, quadrangle down the city street to somewhere else, and that was it. Because I think the message got out among sensibly minded presidents and deans and so forth that, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. We're just not going to let you even get a foothold. On the other hand, you know what scares the heck out of me? Okay, here we are about 50 years, give or take. I mean, when the current progressive leadership that have infiltrated not only, the White House, the halls of Congress, the bureaucracy, the FBI, the CIA, all these people really were radicals back in the 60s and 70s at so-called elite universities at that time. And look at what they've done to our country. We're in the battle of our lives trying to get it back from these progressive loons. Well, what does this portend 30, 40 years down, 25 to 30 years down the road, when these punks in these so-called elite colleges are now the next leadership, because they just can't help themselves, right? One group of look, turkeys flock together. So what do you think that unless we get in the way, and by we, I mean we the people, right? We the people that have the MAGA philosophy, free markets, limited government, say no to tyranny, law and order, those basic common sense principles, unless we break this ongoing chain of the progressives educating the progressives of the next leadership generation, nothing's going to change. And frankly, I think this has been good to see this aired out, and people have to be just abhorrent over this and say, whoa, man, I didn't know that things were that crazy on college campuses. And I'm glad to see it. I mean, it's sad to see, but in a way, I think it's a wake-up call for America. So that's a very good thing in that sense.
Dr. Tobler, on the other side of what we are seeing here, we're seeing a lot of people write on Twitter and speak about how they are afraid of freedom of speech and what's happening to freedom of speech on college campuses, because they're seeing law enforcement getting involved, because they're seeing people stepping in and breaking up these protests and possibly being arrested. That's not my belief. I'm just trying to give the devil's advocate side. What do you say to people that are saying, if you evaluate these protests and see people getting in trouble, then America's freedom of speech is on the line?
These people are not getting in trouble for protesting. Right. They're getting in trouble for breaking the law. Right. And they're getting in trouble for breaking campus policy. So, I mean, these people, it's a straw man argument that they're putting up. These people are not peacefully protesting. When you block passage on the Golden Gate Bridge in an off-campus setting, when you set up tents and block Jewish or any other student, for that matter, from getting into a study hall or going into Hamilton Hall, whatever it was used for, that is not. Now, I frankly disagree a little bit. I would probably concede if I was to confront one of these people. I'd say, well, let's sort out what we're talking about. As terrible as it is, as obnoxious and stench-worthy as it is. Look, the Nazis were allowed to parade in Skokie, right? You got to protect the speech you don't like, and I would protect anti-Semitic speech on campus. I'm sorry, I'm okay with so-called hate speech. What I'm not okay with is hate actions and hate behavior. I think hate speech of the anti-Semitic nature actually is its own worst enemy, and it's self-immolation. No one respects anyone that stands on the corner and calls out blacks or Jews or Asians or Tony, you and I, bald guys, you just hate, but you know what I mean here.
Yes.
But you have to say that's okay, and I would concede to those people. You're absolutely right. No problem. And God Almighty, it's terrible to think of someone standing on the corner in the quadrangle yelling anti-Semitic things.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as it's not interfering physically, I'm sorry. I would tell the Jewish students, hey guys, let them do that. Stand and laugh at them. Laugh at them. They're not hurting you. It's a sticks and stones matter. But people that say that just are not very critically thinking when they say that the cops are getting in the way of free speech. They're getting in the way of law breaking. That's what they're getting in the way of.
Yeah, when you are trespassing, when you are breaking windows with hammers, when you're kicking down doors, when you're occupying buildings that you don't have the right to be occupying, and you are vandalizing and trashing those buildings and the property around it, that is not exercising free speech, and it's also not nonviolent. There's nothing that is nonviolent or taking away anybody's right to free speech when these protests are at the level that they are at. I couldn't agree more, Doc. I want to ask you. Go ahead.
Tony, as I think about an analogy, you and I love to hunt and fish, and I've got land that I hunt on. It would be like expecting me to have someone come onto my land, trespass on my land when I have, no trespassing posted signs there, and somehow expecting me not to call the authorities to get them off my land.
That's exactly right.
Whether they could be reading Ronald Reagan speeches, which I otherwise would love. That's not what this is about. This is about trespassing.
That's exactly
this is
right.
Not hard to figure out.
Yeah, if they broke into your home, they shattered the windows of your home and kicked your door in and occupied your house, and then somehow you are the bad guy if you call the police. I mean, it's ridiculous, and I'm glad to see, as you are, that some of these colleges are finally doing something about it. I do think they are way late in getting there, particularly at Columbia, waiting almost 2 weeks. I want to ask you this. We talked about this earlier in the show. So something like 300 people arrested at Columbia yesterday, 130 approximately protesters arrested at UCLA today. Will these people that have a laundry list of crimes that they have committed, from violent threats to resisting arrest to destruction of property, I mean, the list goes on and on. Do you have any confidence that these people are going to be charged and held to account? Because I'm afraid that we've arrested them, but they're just all going to go free, and there's going to be no repercussion, and therefore no lesson learned.
Yeah, let me offer you this scenario. Everyone knows that this whole obstruction of an official proceeding charge that has been used with J6 defendants, which has been that was about obstructing. It had nothing to do with the type of proceeding that was allegedly obstructed, but it could be applied to many, many situations if you're going to apply it to J6, right?
Yes.
So don't you think there were some board meetings going on, maybe some C-suite meetings of the executive senior leadership team at these colleges? And don't you think that those protests obstructed that? So how come these kids aren't going to be held in solitary confinement for, a year or two in what amounts to a janitor's closet? How come these kids aren't going to serve this or face the same kind of punishment and prosecution that grandmas and grandpas that just happen to wander in, often at the invitation of police officers? How come how come there's not an equal application of those kinds of laws and statutes? I don't get it. I never will get it. I think the people are getting it. And I think they're going to be heard at the ballot box, though. I really do.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I believe that you're right. And I made that exact comparison earlier, so I could not agree more. If people did it on January 6th, or as we just talked about, Doc, if you and I went to any college campus or any building anywhere in America right now, and we smashed the windows with hammers and we kicked the doors in, and we vandalized the buildings and the property and tried to occupy the building, you and I would be charged with a whole bunch of crimes because we committed those crimes. And if we're going to be charged with them, they need to be charged with them. And there just needs to be equal application of the law.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty simple.
The only reason we'd be charged, the reason we could protect ourselves and immunize ourselves against that would be, I guess, if we had a Hamas headband or
Exactly.
Let's buy it. Before we do that, Tori, let's get on Amazon and buy some keffiyehs and Palestinian flags. That might be an important thing to do.
And the megaphones.
That's the best way to get.
Why do they have the megaphones?
Man, Katie is hung up on the megaphones, Doc.
All they have to do is get online, if you and I hypothetically did that, and see that we happen to be, oh my God, they're conservatives. Wow, throw the book at them.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Katie has made a good point all week, and she is it's under her skin. Who are the people that are supplying? Why do these protesters have these expensive, nice tents? I mean, these are like top of the line tents. They have all these megaphones,
$200 amps hooked up to nice microphones.
Yeah, amplifiers and megaphones. Like, who are the people going to Circuit City, loading up their trucks and delivering all of this great equipment to these protesters? It's bugging Katie.
I don't know if it's been proven. I hope that they will get to the bottom of it if they do investigate this in any way.
Well, they've already caught professional protesters mixed in, like paid professional protesters, and I'm sure it's those organizations that is coming from.
It's these anarchist organizations that ultimately have at the very core, running through their core of very being, is this Cloward and Piven strategy, right?
Yeah.
Burn it all down, destroy it, and then build it back up in a Marxist way. That's what they're ultimately all about. This is not just about Palestinians and Israelis and Jews and non-Jews. There's more to that. This is about destroying the American way. There's a lot more here, and we've got to keep an eye on that.
Talking to Dr. Randy Tobler. Doc, I got a couple of minutes left here, but this story that I read today and saw the video of today made me laugh. It blew my mind, and I've been saving it to have this conversation while you were with us. I want to get your reaction. I want to get Katie's reaction. You just set me up perfectly by mentioning, will Joe Biden and the Democrats and this movement be held to account in the election this year? Today, one of these this is as bad of a situation, a scenario that I could possibly even imagine for Joe Biden. I can't believe it actually happened. Anti-Israel protesters and pro-Israel protesters found unlikely unity during a demonstration today at the University of Alabama. So, on college and university campuses across the country, heated protests have resulted in violent beatings, pepper spray, and campus takeovers. But in Alabama today, two opposing groups remained peaceful and rallied together against a common enemy. Their unlikely common ground was captured on video. It shows members of both groups. There's two protest groups standing on opposite sides of a street. One side flying their pro-America, pro-Israel flags. The other side holding pro-Palestinian signs. But everybody was chanting the same three words: F Joe Biden. And it happened. I don't know how it got started. I would love to know how it got started. But the videos, and you can find them out there, there are these two opposite sides, pro-Israel, pro-America protesters that were there to confront the anti-Israel, pro-Palestine terrorists and our protesters and terrorists, quite frankly. And somehow, I don't know how it got started, but they are both sides chanting at the top of their lungs. They're smiling at each other like they're on the same team, and they're all chanting F Joe Biden, except they're not saying F. And I mean, if that doesn't say it all, if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what does. And if you see it from the perspective of Joe Biden, to see that happening, I mean, can you alienate the country any further than this man has. It's unbelievable, Doc. I would play the audio, but I can't, obviously, because of the language in it. But, I mean, that is amazing and a really powerful statement about just how bad Joe Biden's reputation is with this country.
Well, I think it just proves what a colossal mistake America made when they took a guy who has really been nothing but a deceitful, vile politician throughout it, and really, well, I guess deceitful, vile are probably the two most accurate words, and incompetent, I guess they should throw in there. So I guess instead of DEI, that makes him DVI. And how we could have elected a guy like this thinking that he was going to unite the country after all of the challenges of COVID. I mean, it really speaks to what's wrong with the electorate in this country. I mean, this guy, it was inevitable, wasn't it, that it was going to result in this? I'm just glad he hasn't, in a tired and sleepless stupor, pushed the red button and launched the nukes. You know,
no kidding.
So I'm thankful for that. We just got to get under his oppression. We've got to get past it. And boy, Axios talked about this. I guess it was yesterday. How the Democrats are they are apoplectic over this. They do not know how to handle it. What you say is a rising tide of no matter which direction he looks. People are angry at him. They're dissatisfied with him. No matter what their basic ideology is, no one likes Joe Biden. And boy, that's just the best news ever, other than 20 minutes with Katie and
It is. I highly recommend you go and find the videos and the audio to see these two sides, these two sides that are so in opposition to each other, finding common ground. I mean, just shows the ultimate and complete failure of this presidency. Dr. Randy Tobler, really appreciate your time as always. You can hear Doc with us every Thursday here on Colombo and Katie, every Saturday morning, 6 to 9 a.m. here on News Talk STL, and every morning on the Eagle there in Columbia, Missouri. Doc, have a great rest of your day, and thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks so much.
You bet.
Take care.
You bet. We'll be tuned in on Saturday morning for Dr. Randy Tobler's show. All right. I think I'm going to have I think we could use a little Friday fun time on a Thursday. I thought it was Friday.
Yeah.
All day I thought it was Friday.
Thought it was Friday.
So let's do that. Let's do some Friday fun time. I do also want to, I mentioned that the professional political consultants, the New York City Police Department just released video proving that these people exist. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll have a little Friday fun time on a Thursday next on Colombo and Katie.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Headline, Vulture goes after Taylor Swift.
Follow us on Getter at News Talk STL.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
The cleaning pros at Zero Res, who we have relied on for years to bring our home back to life. They can clean any surface in your home. Carpets, of course, but also furniture, upholstery, tile, air ducts. They do it all. And right now, they have an excellent offer for the month of May. This is right on time if you're still in your spring cleaning phase, or if you are a household that suffers from allergies like we do at our home. This is a perfect time to take advantage of this offer from the cleaning pros at Zero Res. If you book a cleaning now and mention the Colombo special when you do, you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off your air duct cleaning. I'm not the only one who loves Zero Res and has for many years. Zero Res, you can check out their reviews online. Over 5,400 positive customer reviews with a 4.9 rating on Google. I mean, that is just absolutely incredible. And I've seen it firsthand and many times just how great the team at Zero Res is. And again, don't miss this opportunity to take advantage of this offer. Book a cleaning in the month of May. Mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $129. Plus, you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. Again, just mention the Colombo special when you call 314 474-2020, or when you book online at ZeroResSTL.com. Spell it forwards or backwards. It spells the same, ZeroRes.
Attention, City of St. Louis. Ready to reclaim your greatness? Join us for an evening with a champion of law and order, Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Awarded 2 Bronze Stars and having commanded over 300 troops on the front lines of Iraq, A.G. Bailey is the leader now fighting for our city. Have a question for A.G. Bailey? Get it answered straight from him this Thursday, May 2nd at 7 p.m. Visit stlouisrepublicans.com for more details.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
All of these disturbances on the campuses, and you wonder why and how they organize. There's a group called Demand Protest. Their slogan, when your strategy demands paid protest, we organize and bring it to life. Yeah, these campuses, their anti-Semitic hatred, Hamas-loving rallies, they're all being directed and probably paid for by groups like George Soros. And this is just one of the groups. They say on their website, we are strategists. We are mobilizing millennials across the globe with seated audiences. Your reputation and discretion is our top priority. We develop, recruit, manage, and execute all your high-level objectives. And they also add deniability by taking every precaution, keeping our clients secret, and we hire only the best individuals. We can ensure no one can trace it back to you. And when it comes to group recruitment, they say our top priority is also presenting any associations back to you. Our operatives only know us. We have a proven track record of maintaining secrecy. Well, the secret's been unveiled. Now just a question, who?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Question, do you know what vermiculite is? It is an insulation in the attics of hundreds of thousands of homes and public buildings. Looks like kitty litter, but often contains asbestos. Wellington Environmental is the largest company in the Midwest that can remove that hazard for you. Wellington has what is called the General, a powerful industrial vacuum that can suck vermiculite out of the attic. Hang on, there's something else you should know. Many of you might qualify for up to a $4,000 rebate. You should at least contact Wellington to see if you qualify. And here's something else. Wellington arrives at the time they give you, not sometime within 4 hours. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world. Cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
So President Biden finally has something to say about the anti-Semitic protests that have led to riots all over the country. We'll update you on that and get your thoughts on Friday.
Morning starting at 5:30 on News Talk STL.
Okay. Katie's about to throw up.
It's still playing. I got to get it off my phone.
So just now, seconds before going back on the air, Katie looked at her phone, and it's cicadas?
It's cicadas. I can
And
feel them. I know they're here.
No, they're not here. They're not here. They're not in the room.
I can feel them.
But they're emerging? Is that what that video is? Of them crawling out of the ground?
Oh, yeah. And they're just like, some of them are just sitting on the ground, piled up on the ground. Some of them are just.
That's one of the things that I've been.
Tree.
That's one of the questions that I've had too as we wait for this. As we wait for the cicadas here, like when they do arrive, are we going to see that? Because I don't remember that last time. I don't remember like watching them crawl out of the ground. It was just like they were just here already.
No, this is like emerging from the ground, piles and piles of cicada around the trees.
Yeah,
and then they're
That's
all
where they're at.
harmoniously in sync, climbing up the tree.
It looks like the tree's like moving. It looks like the tree's alive.
And they are big.
Yeah.
They are big cicadas. That is just
And that was in Tennessee.
That was in Tennessee.
So not here yet,
but close.
But definitely, it's gonna be any time now. It's gonna be any day now.
And I'm really not someone that has weird stuff about insects. I used to when I was young. I used to be petrified.
But a billion.
But I see something like that. It's like a horde.
Yeah.
It's a horde of cicadas.
Yeah, that's different than like not
coming
liking,
forth.
Yeah, that's different than like, oh, I can deal with bugs. Bugs don't
But it
bother me.
makes me like sick.
But it's
like
billions.
I look at it and it makes me sick.
That was pretty amazing. Just crawling out of the ground and crawling up the trees.
Disgusting.
It's gonna happen any day now. One more story about the protesters, and then I have some fun stuff here. The New York City Police Department has released video showing a professional protest consultant instructing members of the anti-Israel mob on where to go, what to say, what to chant. 63-year-old Lisa Fithian was caught on camera by the New York City Police Department, and it was released just to show, like, this is how coordinated, and this is how somebody could make a living doing this. Fithian is a professional protest consultant. She's been arrested over 80 times.
Wow.
She
Role
has
model.
participated in protests on climate change, Occupy Wall Street, and now the Palestinian movement. So it doesn't matter what the cause is. You can hire her, or she comes along with part of the group to help organize, tell people how to protest, what to do, where to go, what to chant. Yeah. And those idiots that we talked about earlier this week, the ones that were like, I don't even know why we're here. They just said they needed help. These are the people they go to and say, okay, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah, it's a scam.
What do we say?
It's a pyramid scheme. It's a scam.
Good for the New York Police Department releasing that to expose that from happening.
It kind of reminds me of remember when the leaders of Black Lives Matter got all the money from their local Black Lives Matter groups, and the leaders took the money from the local area and the local organizations, and then they went to their houses and bought mansions, and then bought mansions for their families and Corvettes and the big screens and the Jordans.
It's like a corporation.
It is. So
it's an industry.
This woman being
It's an
a
industry.
consultant for this, it's like
It's a protest industry.
this is what it is. It's an organization.
Yeah. And they have managers and assistant managers and
Totally.
supervisors and CEOs.
And they're but they have the audacity to protest Wall Street.
Yeah.
Is that
Everything. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Audio emojis are coming to your cell phone soon.
Oh, I kind of like the sound
You're
of
an
this.
I thought you might.
I
You're
like
an
them both.
emoji.
Oh.
You're an emoji girl, right?
Big time.
Reports say that Google has started rolling out audio emojis to Google phone app users. There are 6 emojis to start: clapping, laughing, party, crying, the drum, and the poop emoji.
Oh, that's one we can do without.
in audio form.
We can do without that. We don't need that one. But the others I love.
So, for example, clapping plays a brief applause sound effect.
Ooh, love.
That both sides of the call hear. The crying emoji plays a trombone noise. Okay?
Cool. Oh, that's perfect.
The drum does the classic da-da-da, tss, and the poop emoji is a fart noise.
Oh, I love that, actually. I changed my mind.
So you can do it during a video call. You can do it in an audio text.
Oh, yay. I do that all the time. This is great. This is wonderful news for me. I'm updating my phone. When is this happening?
It's Google. Sorry.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, I know. Google does all the cool stuff.
Yeah, they do. You know what? I will give you that. Samsung does do things first. You know what?
First time.
But that poop emoji one, I'm
The first time you do an audio emoji, an audio emoji on a call with somebody like Mark Close. You know, I mean, they're like,
excuse me.
What is happening? Yeah. It's going to be the most confusing.
Oh my God. When this happens, we
You're
should
talking
call
on your phone
him.
with your grandparents and you hit the clapping emoji or the trombone.
We should do this, Tony. We should get this on your phone and then I'll record it and then we should do this tomorrow.
Have a conversation and just keep hitting it. What is going on? He says something, clap.
Oh, that's so, my gosh. I think this is the best.
Confusion will reign.
The updates, I automatically update on my phone, but I don't like the updates. This is what I love. I think this is so cool.
I thought this would be up your alley.
I
don't necessarily care for it.
But you can't send it in a text. It's just audio. You have to use.
Well, it's an audio. Why would you can't,
well,
I mean,
but that's
you
what
can send a regular emoji in a text.
No, but you can send audio messages in a text.
You can put it in there. You can put it in the audio message.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I would
it's not a written, you want the written text to make a sound?
No. What I want is this. I want to send a text message to someone. I want to click on the emoji.
Yeah.
And I want to send a text message to someone and have an option under my emojis that say sound effect emoji.
Okay.
And when I click the emoji and I hold it down, it has the 5-second sound effect and then I can send it to somebody. That's what I want.
How do they make it play?
They hold it down for 5 seconds.
Oh, so they have to press, when they're reading your message, they press it too?
They press it because it says it will say it could amplify.
I think we're getting a little far down the road here.
No, that's next.
We already have animated emojis.
Right.
I don't know if you have those.
I do. I don't use them.
Emojis are moving now?
I don't use them.
Ours do it automatically.
Oh, really?
They just move. Yeah.
There's an option over here where you can do that. But that's what I want. That would be so cool.
I don't think we're there yet. It has to be an audio message or an audio call for you to use the audio emojis.
Get with the text messaging program. That's what people do.
Here we go.
I think that's all. So are you going to get that? Can you get that?
I don't know. I'll try. I've known about it for about 2 minutes now.
Okay,
so.
let's do this. And let's call Mark. I think that's perfect. This is great.
You start dropping in, you're calling your parents and you start dropping in audio emojis during the call.
I want to do a fart one. I want to see what someone does on the other line. It was just pause.
The first time you hit that, especially if you hit the timing right.
Oh, man. And then
comedically hit the timing right. Yeah. Yeah. You hear your mom or dad on the other line. What did you hear that? What
was that? I stepped on a duck.
Did you hear that? What was that? Stepped on a duck. Hell, it's happening.
Fun. Let's do this. I love it.
All right, let's do this. Let's go. We've officially jumped the shark. Colombo and Katie back tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. In the meantime, best way to make sure that you never miss anything that happens here on the show. And we'll have more Friday Fun Time for you tomorrow. Keep it here for the O'Reilly Report next and the Tim Jones and Chris Arp Show. Thank you so much for listening to us and supporting us here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
You're listening to Colombo and Katie.
Say hello to oyster bunnies. Come on up, bunnies.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Caring for a loved one is stressful. It's an emotional time, and we want our loved ones to get the quality of care they deserve. But the cost of long-term care is expensive. In the St. Louis area, it could be $60,000, $70,000, or even over $100,000. Can your savings handle this added expense? Fortunately, News Talk STL listeners have an expert right here. Financial strategist Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management shows families tax-efficient strategies to fund care needs. Whether planning in advance, have health concerns, or living in a care community today, solutions exist to fund the quality of care you deserve.
Hi, I'm Chris Cooper, and I'd love to send you a free copy of my new book. You'll learn about strategies to empower you and your family, protect your savings, and make sure your loved ones get the quality of care they deserve.
Visit SerenityLTC.com. That's SerenityLTC.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Alphi LLC, SEC registered investment advisor. Insurance and education services offered through Serenity Wealth Management.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.